Hello everyone, welcome to another video. Today we are going to be discussing my March TBR. I cannot believe it is almost March. Like, that kind of blows my mind. I know February is the shortest month, but like I feel like I blinked and January was over and now February is almost over and I just don't know where the time has gone. I feel like I'm just not really like living. I feel like I need to like turn my brain on and like be aware. I feel like the time is like slipping through my fingers and it low-key stresses me out, but I'm trying to not think about it too much. We're just living the best we can and that's all we can do. So for my February TBR, I did allow myself to mood read and it has really worked well for me. So I think I would like to continue with that going into March. I think just because this semester, it's my very last semester of college, and in January I did set a set TBR, like I picked prompts for my TBR jar. So because I've allowed myself to mood read in February, so far I think I've gotten about 3 5-star reads, I'm pretty sure, which is amazing. I feel like last year it took me so long to find a 5-star read, so I'm really trying to keep that momentum going into March. So I am again going to allow myself to mood read. However, I do have like some set plans that like you could say is a set TBR, but to be honest with you, I'm just gonna read as much as I can. I've been putting less emphasis on like how much I read and the speed I read. It's never really been about how many books I can read in a month, but I think because I've kind of switched mindsets and stopped focusing and like stressing over that, I have read so much more. Like, I've just kind of allowed myself the freedom to read without consequence, without, you know, requirements and stuff like that. Like, obviously I have goals, but it's nothing like too intense on me. Like, the pressure is definitely off. So without further ado, let's talk about my hopefuls for March. So probably my biggest reading plan for the month of March is to finally finish a series that I have been reading for the longest time. I remember about 2 years ago I said in a TBR video that I was finally going to finish this series and, you know, get it off my plate. And it's been 2 years since then and I'm just now about to finish the series, so we're finally going to be doing it. But I'm almost done with Tower of Dawn by Sarah J Maas, so the next book I'll be moving on to is Kingdom of Ash, and I'm definitely scared. I'm terrified for this book. It is humongous, but I've flown through Empire Storms and Tower of Dawn. I ended up not doing the tandem read. That's a whole nother long story, but that just turned out to be the best possible experience for me. So I'm very excited to see how everything comes together, how it all ends, how our characters end up. I really hope none of them die. But yeah, I'm just ready to know the ending to the story and finally close this book for the last time. I will never forget reading this series for the first time, and I am just so glad that I get to, like, I still have yet to read this. And I definitely have been like prolonging it, but I think I've prolonged it enough. I think it's finally time and I just don't want to put it off. I definitely could like wait a bit, you know, once I finish Tower of Dawn, take a break, but like I've waited too long. I'm ready. I'm ready. So yeah, obviously I can't say much of what this is about, but it is the conclusion to the Throne of Glass series. So let's cross our fingers that I will not be, well, I know I'll be emotionally devastated, but let's hope that this doesn't put me into a reading zone, basically. And then the next book is one that I have also had on my radar for a really long time. I did start this, I think, a year ago. I think it was in the spring semester of last year that I started this book, but I ended up putting it down. I think it was just a right book, wrong time thing. I just was in the mood for it, but I just think I had a lot going on, so I couldn't really give it the attention it deserved. But at the time, I was planning to buddy read this with my best friend Haley, who I've mentioned like all the time in my videos. And so this month we actually decided to make this our buddy read for March, but also my Fable book club book for the month, which you should definitely go join. It's called Frolicking Through Fantasy, and every month we read a different fantasy book, either picked by us or picked by me. Mainly it's just been picked by me, but Haley and I have decided to make this the Fable book club book as well, kind of kill two birds with one stone. So it's nice because we'll finally be coming back to it after so long of saying we're gonna buddy read it and then we never did. But that is The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. I feel like everyone in the world has read this book but me, and I'm very excited to see what I think. I've actually never read, well, actually that's a lie, I have read a book by V.E. Schwab before, but it was her middle grade books City of Bones. I forget what that book is called, but I read her middle grade book. I did like it, so this will be my first like adult book by her. And yeah, I've just heard amazing things about this. I feel like so many people love this book. I actually left my annotating tabs in here from the last time I started it, and I only got like 17 pages in. So I truly forgot everything that I read when I did start this. So I'm excited to read this with Haley. I think we're gonna have a really good time. I think this will also potentially emotionally wreck me, but I'm okay with that. I want reads that are gonna make me feel something. So I'm excited for this, and I hope that we love it. So next on my list is one that I wouldn't say is like a top priority for me. It's kind of just one that like I definitely just want to read. Like it's more of like a fun pick, not like continuing a series or doing a buddy read or anything that like I have to uphold my end of the bargain for. This is definitely like a pleasure read, like a guilty pleasure read, I would even say. But that is Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. Again, I feel like everyone in the world has read this but me, and I never really wanted to. I never really planned to read the Twilight books, but recently my boyfriend and I, we binge watched all of the movies. Like, I kid you not, 1 week we just watched them all back to back. They were so much fun. They were bad, but they were so good at the same time. I just loved cringing and, you know, quoting all the lines, and it was just such a good time, and I just need more. So now I'm going to read the books. So I have the audiobook for this that I've started listening to. I've only gotten about 20 pages in, so I'm not super far into it, but I definitely plan to continue either listening or reading this physically this month. I just feel like I need more Twilight in my life. I need to know the differences between the books and the movies, and yeah, I just need more fun, silly, goofy times. The next book I plan to read in March is a new release. So this came out at the very end of February, and it was one that I had pre-ordered. And I am like on a book buying ban. Like I wouldn't say it's super strict that I like cannot buy books, but I've been trying to prioritize my physical TBR. So book buying has definitely been something I've been, you know, not seeking out. I've been avoiding it because I'm trying to read the books I own. I've been doing okay, but this was one when I heard it was coming out, I pre-ordered it instantly, and yeah, I was just so excited for it, and I still am. But it is Agnes, I think it's Aubert or Aubert, I don't really know. Agnes Aubert's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett. This is her new release, and if you don't know, she wrote the Emily Wilde series. I have read the first book in that series, and I did really enjoy it. It just took me so long to read. Even though it's like a short book and it's like a cozy fantasy, so like the world building isn't even that dense. Like it was honestly like a slower read. It just took me a long time. I think because I wasn't used to the language she used, because Emily Wilde is like a professor, so she speaks very scholarly, and it just read a lot different than a lot of like fantasy romantasy, if you can even call that book that. It just read a lot different from most books I read, but I did really enjoy that, and I really liked Emily Wilde as a character and just kind of like the depth that the author created in the story. So anything to do with cats, I'm definitely on board, but because I've read from this author before, I'm just curious to know more from her. So this obviously has a very beautiful cover, and I love how my light like highlights the shininess on this. It's so cute. But yeah, this follows the main character, Agnes Aubert, who leads a magical cat shelter, and I believe that it is in danger. Yeah, I believe the shelter like needs a new home. So she has to pair up with this mysterious magician named Havelock. He is the world's most infamous musician running an illegal magic shop out of his basement. So yeah, I think they have to team up against a common foe and work together, and I don't know why this gives me like Howl's Moving Castle vibes. I really don't. I just think something about Heather Fawcett's like characters and the magician and maybe even the cats, I don't really know, it just reminds me of like a Studio Ghibli film. So I have really high hopes for this. I really hope that I love it, and either way, the cover is just beautiful. So to be honest, those are like the main books that I plan to get through this month. I know with Kingdom of Ash and The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue, I'm going to be booked up, literally. Like, I'm going to spend as much time in those stories as I can, and I want to give my full attention to them. But there are a couple books that, like, if I had the chance, I would love to read more than these. So I wouldn't say these are set in stone. They're kind of just hopefuls or like backup books maybe. But I have kind of been in a romance mood recently. I read First Time Caller by B.K. Borison this month in February, and I loved it. It was a 5-star read. And the second book in that like series comes out tomorrow, actually, as I'm filming this. So I'm not sure if I'll get a physical copy, but my birthday is the day after it comes out on February 25th. I do have a gift card that I have saved for a rainy day, so perhaps I will go buy that book. I'm not really too sure. We'll just have to see where it takes us. So potentially I would like to get to And Now Back to You by B.K. Borison. Like I said, it's the second book that follows First Time Caller. And besides And Now Back to You, there are also 2 new releases that I really have my eye on for March. The first one is The Last Starborn Seer by Venetia Constantine. This comes out March 3rd. To be honest with you, I don't know much about the plot of this. I truly just think the cover is gorgeous. I know it has something to do with some type of like magic. Honestly, that's all I know. That's all I'm gonna say, because otherwise it'll be completely wrong. But when I read the synopsis, it sounded really good and I was really into it. So again, I don't know if I'll necessarily get a physical copy of this. I'm trying to not buy books, but potentially I might get one from my library, but it definitely is on my radar. The other one that is on my radar that is a new release is To Cage a Wild Bird by Brooke Fast. This also comes out March 3rd, I'm pretty sure. I think there's different release dates. But this is a dystopian romance book, I believe. It takes place in like a prison setting and it sounds really, really interesting actually. I'm very, very intrigued by this. I do have an ARC copy of it on my iPad, but I've been having a lot of trouble like reading on ebooks recently. Something about the screen and like especially if it's a fantasy type book, I cannot like remember things. So I may or may not read that. I'm not really sure. I would like a physical copy of that as well, but again, might just go with the library. I'm not sure. So that is quite a long-winded TBR. I definitely hope I can get to all of these. But without further ado, let's go into my reading journal setup for the month of March. Alright, I hope you enjoyed watching me set up my reading journal spread. I think it turned out really nicely. I've been doing really well with like keeping up with my monthly spreads, and so I definitely plan to continue this. I've kind of been like switching it up and like not exactly doing the same format. I'm still kind of trying to figure out what works for me exactly, but so far I've been consistent and I want to keep that up going forward. So yeah, just to go through my TBR very quickly all over again. So I will hopefully be reading Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J Maas, Agnes O'Bear's Mystical Cat Shelter by Heather Fawcett, Twilight by Stephanie Meyer, and last but not least, The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue by V.E. Schwab. So that is all I have for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Definitely leave a like if you enjoyed. I would love to know what is on your March TBR, and if you have read any of these books, please let me know your thoughts. Which one should I start with first, and which one you recommend or don't recommend? And yeah, I would love if you could stick around by hitting that subscribe button. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Bye bye!